So, one of the first videos that I did on this channel was called the HSP to ADHD Rabbit Hole. And I don't remember exactly if it was reported under the Authentically Autistic and ADHD, Autism, ADHD, and Me. Whatever the case, the video is on this channel. So, if you want some more of the backstory as to why this video is being recorded, be sure to go check that one out. I'm going to pop the link in the show notes or in the description for you. So, in case you don't know me, I'm Corey, neurodivergent mom, trauma-informed coach, and someone who spent years identifying as an HSP or highly sensitive person because it was the only label that remotely came close. And it explained a lot, but eventually it didn't quite explain enough. So let's talk about that HSP to ADHD pipeline and why so many of us end up going through it. So, when I first found the term HSP, it felt like coming home. My overwhelm made sense, my sensitivity had context, and the quiet pain that I was always experiencing finally had a name. It was the first time in a very long time where I didn't feel too dramatic or overly sensitive, but it also became a kind of like a stopping point. A place that I started to cling to because it felt safer than the truth that I hadn't yet unraveled. So it was like discovering the Goosebumps series before finding Harry Potter, an entire world that felt right until you realized that there was something deeper still waiting. So here's where things got real. HSP didn't explain the time blindness, the executive dysfunction, the emotional regulation pieces, the sensory seeking and avoidance, and the fact that I was exhausted constantly from just everyday life. Because that wasn't just sensitivity, that was the neurodivergence. Because while HSP focuses on the emotional sensitivity, ADHD affects the emotional regulation, the task initiation, the working memory, the rejection sensitivity. I could go on. So HSP was part of this puzzle, but ADHD, that started to explain so much more. So again, many of us land in this HSP space because it's socially safer. There's no stigma around being HSP. It sounds poetic and almost pretty, and you get to say, I'm just sensitive, and people nod. It's like when we use the labels from the Myers-Briggs to say, I'm this or I'm that. I'm an INFJ, by the way, so that's the intuitive, introspective, feeling, judging. Okay, so that's what I am. And according to, Myers-Briggs, it's supposed to be one of the most rare types. My Enneagram, if you're into that kind of thing, is Enneagram 2, wing 3. So there were so many other ways that I could start to explain, parts of my personality or why I did certain things. And even let's go into astrology, because I'm into that too. My sun sign is Aquarius. My rising sign is Gemini. And my moon sign is Cancer. Let that all sink in, and like by Mercury for me is in Aquarius and Mars is in Libra. So, like I said, there were just so many aspects of like that I was digging into in my personality, or personality traits, whatever you want to call them, where I could say it's like, okay, well, maybe this is why I do this, or this explains this. And it's still, yes, it was helping, but I knew that there was so much more going on and that there were just answers that were just out there. I just had to find them and I had to dig deeper. So naturally, that's what I did. I started digging deeper and I started exploring more. And I think this was also fueled by a great love and interest in psychology. Because I want to know why people's brains work the way that they do. And for me, figuring out why my brain worked the way that it did, it became one of the greatest explorations that I have ever undertaken, but one that I was also not emotionally prepared for. So, but that's probably a whole video in and of itself. So here, again, here's the truth. Many late diagnosed neurodivergent women start at the HSP place because ADHD in women is still under researched, still underdiagnosed, and we are still pretty heavily masked out there. So we're not wrong. We were just early. And my friend, the deeper truth is still unfolding. So I didn't completely abandon HSP. I just added ADHD along with some of my other initialized things. And I also got to add in the lovely tagline of trauma and CPTSD in my case as well. And I added a nervous system that was just doing its best with incomplete instructions. So now I can say I'm sensitive and strategic. I feel deeply and I forget appointments. I'm allowed to be layered. And that, my friend, is what freedom sounds like. It's being able to say that we are these things or you reclaiming those labels instead of them being so negative for whatever reason or another that society seems to undervalue or you kind of dismiss some qualities. So if you are somewhere between HSP and suspecting that there's more, trust that. Follow your intuition. You're not broken. You're in the process of remembering who you've been all along before society taught you that you had to mask your personality to fit in. Download the Emotional Resilience Reset to start building safely in your nervous system while you keep exploring. And if you're ready to connect with women who've walked the same spiral, PRC is waiting with softness and strength. I want you to walk away with this. You didn't get it wrong. You were just in chapter 1, and the rest of your story, it's finally getting good.